Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. My theme for 2024 is magnetic or magnetism. I know that we're all magnets, right? We're perpetually either attracting or repelling, just like a magnet can. And my intention for 2024 is to be more potent with my magnetism and also more intentional and just perpetually allowing myself to attract in big, bold ways the things that I want to magnetically attract, and also allow myself to repel the aspects that aren't welcome. And so my word is magnetism. And I was listening to a podcast this morning. If you want to listen to it, I'll show it to you. It's a big deep dive into astrology. The podcast is called What's the Juice? And I love her. She's amazing. And so the most recent episode is about the astrological themes of 2024. And a lot of what I was hearing is 2023 for many was a bit of a shit show. And there was a lot of recalibrating. There was a lot of reevaluating relationships. And this is like universal. You know, the woman, both of them have millions of followers in multiple continents, and they're talking about like astrologically, but also in their following and in their own lives, this kind of universal theme that was happening in 2023. And also adding in this concept of coming out of the pandemic, where there was this sense of loss of authority. Right? There was so much being put on us regarding where we could be, how we could be, whether we could mask, if we could be outside, not be outside, and confronting sense of safety. And that 2023 was kind of a culmination of that. And then this like, WTF, who do I want to be in the world? Who do I want to be in my relationships? What do I want my relationships to look like? What do I want my relationship to look like in my working world? In my marriage, if I have one, in my friendships, in my community. And it was a bit of an upheaval. And they talked specifically about July being the time where it really kind of came to the crux. And from July through the end of 2023, for many, was a very churning time. And the cool thing is now in the podcast, they talk about astrologically, it's kind of ambiguous to take a calendar year as the new year, that astrologically the new year is actually March or April, because it's the beginning of Aries, and Aries is actually the beginning. And I don't know a whole lot about astrology, but it was a fascinating podcast. But then also looking at, okay, now we're in a new year when we think about numerology. And so 2024, everybody do the math. 2 + 0 is 2 + 2 is +4 is 8. 8. We are in a year of 8. 8 is the symbol of infinity. 8 is the symbol of abundance. 8 is the symbol of our authority and our power and our intuition. And so we are going into this spectacular time of being able to really own our sense of personal authority and our personal abundance. And it's a super exciting time. And so I was thinking it would be nice to kind of just probe you guys and really be in a place of self-reflection. When we think about this next calendar year, as ambiguous as it is, I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions. I'm talking about we have started a new calendar year. There is an energetic reset. And let's really get clear on what is it that you want. And so grab pen and paper. And I would like for you to first ask yourself the question, what makes me feel empowered? What makes me feel empowered? And just brain dump on your journal. What makes me feel empowered? What makes me feel empowered? Because this is the year. We are, how many days? 3. We are on day 3 of this year. Like, if there's any time to do it, this is the time for us to cultivate and express our empowerment. So what makes you feel empowered? What scenery? Do you feel empowered when you're around big mountains, tall buildings, around community, feeling supported, near your children, doing your work, eating amazing food, seeing lots of money in your account? What makes you feel empowered? What makes you feel empowered? Is it a certain piece of clothing? Is it a certain color? Certain songs, music? When you work out a certain way, do you feel really empowered? What makes me feel empowered? And then next question, how have I given away my power? Just ask yourself the question, how have I given away my power? Have there been scenarios where in relationships you haven't used your voice, you haven't spoken up for yourself, you haven't asked for what you wanted? Have you given away your power in kind of codependent spaces? How have I given away my power? In your relationship with your mother, your father, your siblings, your children, your partners? How have I given away my power? In working world, are you choosing to stay small? Is there a part of you that really longs to take a big, deep dive into something new, but you're holding back? Are you allowing your purpose to not be fully expressed? How have I given away my power? Have I stopped prioritizing my body, my workouts, my nutrition, doing what I love? Did I stop my journaling, my morning routine? Did I get caught up in worry and fear, and did I forget that abundance is all around? And the universe, God, whatever word you use, is always, always conspiring for my greater good. And did I forget? And did I allow myself to lose my power? And then the next question is, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel in my body, in my joints? How do I want to feel in my muscles? How do I want to feel in the morning when I wake up? How do I want to feel when I'm feeling frisky? And if I have a partner, he or she is suggesting lovemaking, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel when I prepare my meals? How do I want to feel after I eat a meal? How do I want to feel at night when I go to sleep and I lay my head on the pillow? How do I want to feel when I walk into my home? How do I want to feel when I go out into my community and I spend time with my friends and I spend time with my family? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel when I step into my office or my working space? Or I simply step into my mind? Is there chatter? Is there peace? Is there trust? Is there a sense of grounding? How do I want to feel when I look at my checking account? How do I want to feel when I look at my calendar? I look at what's on my calendar today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year. When I look at what is being planned, what am I prioritizing? If I allow myself to use this year to step into my inner authority and power and feel empowered, what does that feel like? How do I want to feel when I look in the mirror? How do I want to feel when I look in the eyes of my partner, my husband, my lover? Or if you're dating, how do I want to feel when I meet that person that might be someone I'd like to spend a lot of time with? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel safe? Do I want to feel empowered? Do I want to feel nervous and excited? Do I want to feel challenged, inspired, motivated, content, protected? Loved, accepted? Like, what is important to you? A sense of belonging? A sense of worthiness? I want to feel trust. I want to feel love. I want to feel warmth. I want to feel compassion. I want to feel accepted. And then the next piece is to use this time this year, this beginning of the year, to go, each and every one of us has a spectacular intuition. All of us, we have an amazing intuition. Sometimes it comes in a whisper, sometimes it comes in a thunk. And so if you were to be able to cultivate really trusting your intuition, being able to receive the message, trust it, and follow it, what would be different? And what does that even look like? You know, for some people, when it comes to this idea of cultivating our intuition, it's like, well, gosh, I don't know. I don't know what my intuition feels like. And so it's like those tiny moments where you just have a feeling of, ooh, I need to call this person. And you trust it. And so my challenge to each and every one of you is, if we try on for the next few months, just see wherever you are right now and following your intuition, let's see if we can expand it just a little bit more. And you try on looking for evidence. So you get a hit. There's someone that pops in your mind and you think that you need to call them, and you call them, and then, like, I'll have those scenarios where they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just called. I was just thinking about you. And you go, there's evidence. That was my intuition. And I listened and I followed it and I received the message, right? And you get to have that validation of, I do have an intuition. Even something as small as you go into your closet, you're like, nothing here looks good. I don't want to wear anything. Are you pushing yourself, right? Is it really that you're in a place where what your intuition is saying is it's time for quiet? It's time for stillness. Can you actually create space to stay in your sweats a little bit longer, right? Or is there resistance? Is there fear of something? Is there some upper limiting happening? And so it's this fine line for us to start paying attention to. In the podcast episode that I was listening to, she was talking about, she's doing a lot of business. She lives on the East Coast and she's having to go into the city a bunch, into New York. And she really prefers the country. And she would get in the Uber to have to go into the city, and there's this feeling of fear. It's like, well, gosh, is this my intuition saying, no, 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 don't get in the Uber and don't go into the city? Or is this actual fear that is just getting in my way? And what is it that I'm afraid of? Am I afraid of these big meetings that I'm going to, and the potential of actually the growth that I'm asking for? And then it's right there in front of me and I'm going, oh shit, right? So I encourage each of us to kind of play around with, where is the nudge? Is it God? Is it universe? Is it intuition? For me, I feel like it's all valid. It's all important. And I have I call them guides. They're spirits, and they've been with me since I was 3. And I know that's a little bit woo-woo, but there's 3 of them. And when I was little, they would talk, and it was scary. It was loud, and I've learned to kind of cultivate it a bit. And it's like, for me, it doesn't matter if it's a message from my guides, or it's a hit from my intuition, or it's something that I feel like is coming from God, or what. Am I open to receiving it? Am I open to following it and paying attention to receive those nudges and go, what if in 2024, we really cultivated our authority and our power and our knowing that life is always happening for us and by us, not to us. And when we allow these whispers to kind of help guide the direction, You're driving and you just get a hit that I'm going to take a different route this time, just to listen. And then every once in a while that happens and you find out there was a car accident had you gone that direction. And we go, ah, good job. Pat myself on the back. Validation that there was an intuitive hit, a message from blah, 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 wherever it came from. I listened, I received it, I followed it. And so just to allow ourselves to be kind of intentional with listening to the whisper, listening to the moments where there's just a feeling, a nudge, and then going, ah, how cool. And we use this as a way to build trust in ourselves and build trust in our authority. And when we allow ourselves to trust it, we listen and we act on it, then we also allow ourselves to trust that wherever it takes us is divine. When we drove the Alcan Highway and ended up miscarrying and got to Juneau and we had no job and no home and everything came crumbling down, of course there was a part of me going, did I miss some signs? Did I make a wrong choice? But then it's like, no. It's always divine. We're always growing. And either we're receiving validation that, oh, I didn't listen and now here I am. Or I did listen and here I am and I know that where I am is for good reason. Hopefully when I use the words intuition or universe or God, I know for everybody it's something different, and maybe it's all of it. And it's powerful and it's spectacular to be able to quiet down enough, ground in, to hear it, to receive it, and to be willing to follow it. And I think the other thing I was thinking is in this discernment of, like, is this a hit? Is this a message coming in, an intuitive hit, or is this coming from fear? For those of you that are kind of going, gosh, I don't know, I'm still sifting through, and you're trying on different possibilities, right? You're trying on looking for evidence. You can also check in with your body. So if it's coming from fear or upper limiting, it's generally going to be spinning in the mind. It's going to be up high, whereas intuition is going to feel very grounded. It's going to feel like a low, stable energy. So when you're like that example of her in the Uber going, oh my gosh, is this fear that there's going to be a 9/11, right? Where do I feel it in my body? What is coming in? Is this a nudge from God to actually stop and get out of the Uber? Or is this really just my fear playing out? And so if I go, where do I feel it in my body? Does it feel like it's coming from a very grounded, quiet knowing? And I'm willing to listen in, receive it, and follow and act on it? Or is it coming from more like a heart pounding, mind spinning? And if I ask myself, do I actually think that this is going to happen? Then you get to go, no, it's not actually that I fear this thing happening. It's just that I'm butting up against some upper limiting, or I'm butting up against some anxiety. I'm butting up against some fear. And am I going to stand in my authority and my power, particularly in 2024, and do it anyway? There's a reason why it's called comfort zone. It's comfortable. And when we step out of our comfort zone and we allow ourselves to grow and transform and change and attract and really embody these words that came out of the call with Scott, there's going to be moments where it might feel a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. And I was also thinking, just to point out, that resistance is normal, right? Resistance is normal. Change is one of the most confronting things we will do. changing a thought pattern, changing old beliefs that are playing out consciously, unconsciously, changing whether how much we allow ourselves to act on that intuitive hit. You know, starting with something as simple as I'm going to take a different route as I'm driving, or I'm going to go into my closet and pay attention to what I want to choose for my piece of clothing. Like starting with things that don't have big consequences. Just to go, no, 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 no. I'm going to allow myself to cultivate. This is coming from my intuition. And start paying attention to what happens on the other side when I take more steps from that whisper that comes in. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you. Happy New Year. Look forward to the next one, and off we go. Ciao, ciao.